Hello, this is 13 Heathens. This is going to be possibly a series talking about the notion of hell and how damaging it can be to people. With me now at this point is Schizophrenic Queen, who I'm going to have with me for the first segment of this. I may end up having to break the hangout into several small segments. We were talking a little bit before we got on the air about the notion of hell and how it can affect somebody adversely on a psychological basis. Queenie, can you speak to this?
Yes, I mean, uh, the notion of hell in my early diagnosis and in my treatment in schizophrenia was really, it was scary. Like, I was scared to death, pretty much. Uh, and I'm not sure if it had that much of an impact on me before I developed schizophrenia, but after I developed schizophrenia, hell became this all-encompassing, dire threat. And I really struggled to deal with it, and I I had trouble sleeping at night. In fact, I believe in the early stages of my diagnosis and treatment, I didn't sleep at night. I would stay awake all night and only sleep during the day while the sun was out. And I often thought tiny little things like on the street or things I would observe had some sort of greater significance to do with um, this whole heaven hell fate thing that I thought was going on, and it was really alarming. And
You
it,
said that you kind of figured that you were going to hell regardless at one point in your life.
oh yeah, I was pretty convinced that if there was a god, then that god would must hate my guts, or for whatever reason I was unredeemable, and so hell was the only place I was going, regardless.
So a little bit of a predeterminism kind of angle.
Yeah, which I think also plays into the thing where I saw signs pretty much anywhere and everywhere, because it's all like my mindset at the time was that it's pretty much all predetermined anyway.
Oh, there we go. Now I can breathe a little bit better. Yay, coffee. Um, Trying to handle something like whether it be the heaven notion or the hell notion or religion itself. When you first came into schizophrenia, before you'd had the experience trying to deal with it, how real were these kind of notions to you?
They were real enough that I got filtered out of the military. Um, I actually developed schizophrenia while I was active duty Navy, and there was a period of around a month where I couldn't really sleep because I was, at the time, I believed I was seeing demons. And now, retrospectively, I was hallucinating rather heavily, primarily at nighttime or when I was alone. And it eventually caused me to have a mental breakdown, and I was transferred to San Diego for um, treatment. I was in their facility for about a month, and then they said I was well enough that they would just filter me out. It wasn't until after I was out of the Navy that I got the diagnosis of schizophrenia. And I think the diagnosis over time has changed a bit as my therapist learns more about it and all this sort of stuff. But when I was initially filtered out of the military, I wasn't diagnosed yet. And so I thought that, the Navy is a stressful environment and that I was just reacting to stress and that everything was going to be fine. But when I got home, I still had all of these reoccurring patterns in my thoughts and the way that I was perceiving things, and I was
Did
still having this intense problem with the hell concept.
Okay. So even after your initial deconversion, the hell concept kind of followed you? so to speak, or?
Well, I dealt with the whole hell dilemma, I guess you could call it that, for about a year while I tried to figure out anything I could do about it because it was sort of a thing where I think if I'd have continued to try to sort of rationalize it in my mind, I probably would have ended up getting hospitalized again. And what I ended up doing was I decided that if God wasn't real, then the devil couldn't be real either. And therefore, if I didn't believe in God, then the devil couldn't exist either. And
And
it,
thus the whole heaven and hell go right out the window alongside them.
yeah, and it took a long time. I'd say probably another couple of years, maybe, like another year or so at least, for me to really cement that idea in my mind, where it was just like, this isn't a thing. I don't need to worry about this thing. But I, I don't know. Once I got to a point where I wasn't afraid of it as a reality, it just made my condition a lot easier to cope with.
Did the manifestation of the schizophrenic, I want to say delusions, I hate that word, but the images that your brain was producing, did those change after you finally released yourself from the hell notion?
Yes.
Yep.
When I was initially having my issues and things, um, a lot of it would be like it would take on a sort of demonic perception to it, and afterwards it's hard to describe because it's still dark and things like that, but I wouldn't say necessarily demonic because I've kind of thrown that out of my.
Has letting go of the religious aspect that had been aggravating, let's just say, the condition, after dumping that, did it make it a little bit easier to deal with?
Yeah, when I dumped out the religious stuff, it it gave me the opportunity to sort of step away from the things that I was experiencing because without the religious influence, they weren't distinctly threatening. And so it gave me, I guess, a little bit of extra perspective on it, maybe.
Very interesting. Thank you, Queenie. Joining us, we have BH. Queenie, if you don't mind, I'm going to need to bring in those two people
Oh,
in a couple.
hi. No, I didn't mean to interrupt,
Oh,
but
it's okay. In a couple minutes, I'm going to be bringing those people that have, we talked about that earlier. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to ask you to head out in a couple moments, Queenie. But do you have anything further you'd like to add first?
Um, I don't.
like the new look, Queenie, by the way.
Thanks. I'm not sure. I mean, like the only thing I'd really stress is my whole position on religion and mental illness, and that it's not the same thing because I'm not a Christian anymore and I'm still schizophrenic. So
But unfortunately, religion at times can aggravate pre-existing
it
conditions.
can, it can, and it does, but that doesn't make it
Well,
the
it's just like any other proclivities, beliefs, or anything.
same.
I mean, what if Queenie was an extreme libertarian? Will we be having this discussion?
No,
And in
I
fact,
mean,
why aren't we having that discussion? Why aren't we having the discussion of like other beliefs
speech,
and mental illness?
speech. People do tack a lot of things
Because the
on.
topic is hell.
Yes, topic is hell.
Oh, sorry.
Basically, the
Hell.
thing that I would stress.
Oh, in other words, Tuesday in
Oh.
my house.
Okay.
Well, basically that religion, like many other things, can aggravate uh, mental conditions for people with those particular, I guess would be a better way to say it.
Hmm.
Sorry for my coughing.
Anyway, sorry for putting that in there. It's probably not the best thing to randomly insert, considering
No,
the topic.
Anyway,
actually, that's what attracted me. I didn't even know it was you, Queenie. I didn't even recognize you. I saw you on on my feed. I was like, wait a minute, who's this goth? Wait a minute, that's Queenie. I know
Oh.
that's Queenie.
Okay, enough about me. We got to get the other panelists in here, so I should
Me.
probably jump out, right?
okay. Thank you for joining me, Queenie. It was great talking to you,
Have
and
a
I'll
nice
catch you
day.
again later.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I give the all clear to the people that were unable to get into due to YouTube restrictions. Beach,
Yes.
did you grow up? Did you grow up Christian?
No,
You didn't grow up Christian.
no. I actually grew up irreligious. I'm a freeborn.
So did the hell doctrine have any influence on you whatsoever growing up?
I would say, yeah, in a way.
How
That's
so?
well, because we all wonder what's going to happen to us in the next life.
Or even
You
if
know,
there is going to be one for that matter.
Yeah, irreligious or not, you know. So it's all like, and because it's a very human thing to think like, oh, we're all gonna pay. Because
But
we
is it-
want that. We want a cosmic balance.
But when somebody Christian comes along and starts insisting that because you don't believe as they do, you're going to hell, what's your gut reaction to that?
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with it.
But what is your gut reaction?
But there is a gut reaction regardless. That's what I'm saying. Even outside of like some Christian insistence on their version, because this cosmic balance is not just about Christians either. You know, in other traditions, it's spoken of. You know, karma, you know, with the Hindu.
But it's sorry.
You know, you've obviously been acted like a worm. You're going to come back like a worm. You know, that kind of thing. I think even outside, and speaking as someone, you know, who's a freeborn, there's still a little bit of that. Isn't that hell? You know?
Well, I suppose you could look at it that way.
Yeah.
There
That
we
there's
go.
some kind of justice, and I think that's like, well, hell is the prison where sinners are going to go, you know, on the Christian level. And in other religions, that's also the truth too, you know, that you're going to pay for your sins, so forth and whatnot. I think that
is it
even
something you
with
normally think about, or not so much?
no,
Okay.
not these days, not these days. But you know, back in the day, you know, even though I was raised irreligious and I was like, you know, what's this world about and what is it about?
Okay.
And looking at all the traditions, you know, like isn't hell prison? You know,
Well, if you let me, Beach, 40mm has just joined us. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
And you're up at bat. So when you were growing up, how did the notion of hell, was that a serious concern to you, or
I've never had a notion of hell.
never had a notion whatsoever?
Yeah, you got two religious people in here.
That's okay. So, okay, let's see now.
Yeah, you got to get like some Christian people in here.
Well, actually, I have a couple folks lined up. I'm kind of padding out time, waiting to see if they're going to get their butts in here.
I'll wait for the theology until they show up then.
Well, actually,
Well, you know that the notion of hell was actually a later invention, right?
Well, I was going to go through Sheol, Tartarus, Hades, and Gehenna, but I'll wait till the
Right.
Christians get here. So.
Or
Well,
or
this
the Zoroastrian.
Yeah, with Ahriman, and that's a big influence on the
Ahriman
old.
and Ahura Mazda.
Yep, the two primal forces. That's actually a big influence on the Old Testament.
Oh, on the Old Testament and the New Testament, and on Greek and Roman religion.
Yeah, Hellenistic. That's
Yeah.
my thoughts on the New Testament. It's Hellenistic storytelling at its not finest, but you know.
Oh, you can even go to the Nordic.
if I may. 40. So when somebody gives you the whole, well, you're going to hell, and actually, you being a Satanist, you probably get this a lot more than I do.
Oh, I get it all the time.
I figure you get it a lot more than I do, but what's your usual response to that? I mean, you said you don't even really have a notion of it. So, on an somewhat, I should say, on an instinctive level or on a gut
Hell
feeling
is
kind of
what you
level, how
make
do you
it.
respond to it?
Meh.
Hell is what
I'm
you
just like-
make it. You
Yeah,
know,
and-
it's what we're living. Yeah.
Beach. Can you please let him answer?
I just go about my business. Really, it doesn't concern me in the slightest. So, I'm not gonna stand there.
whatsoever.
No, I'm not gonna stand there for 10 minutes and try to explain to somebody like this is why it doesn't exist, and this is the theology behind it, and this is the etymology behind it, because they're not gonna get it. And even if they do, they're just gonna plug their ears, and you know.
Fair enough.
Well, I was trying to say, you know,
By all means,
I
go
think
ahead.
that goes along with the Satanist here is like hell is what you make it. Hell is what you make it here on Earth while you're alive.
Yeah, if you have things good, that's why people are assholes. Assholes are assholes. They have things going on in their life that they can't get like down to the bottom of with themselves, so they lash out to other people, and
Yeah.
that to
they
me is
share,
their own
they
hell.
share their hell with you.
Exactly.
Incidentally, wait a minute, let me make sure that I don't know why I have that still on. Hopefully it's been broadcasting. It should be broadcasting. I don't know why I still had this silly broadcast alert up. That shouldn't have made any difference, though. In any case, I'd actually done a little bit of polling of people to see who it was and who was and wasn't affected more by the hell notion. And the one thing that I seem to be coming across is that it seemed to be more women that had the actual fear of hell at a younger age than males. So, frankly, that and the fact that you guys don't really come from that Judeo-Christian style background, I'm not at all surprised to see that it didn't have that much of an impact on you.
Well, actually, we all come from the Judeo-Christian background because that's our culture. So it's in the background. No matter what we like declare ourselves, and you know, even though I said, and I was raised in an irreligious background, it's still there.
Okay,
It's
let's
in
see
our
now
culture.
if I can cut in here. Mark Anthony, welcome to the call.
Hey, what's up? Mic check 1 2 1 2.
You're coming in loud and strong. During your early upbringing, was the hell notion an issue in your upbringing?
Well, yes, that's one of the main reasons I became an atheist. I mean, because my best friend was Muslim, and I was taught that he was going to be in hell, and I just had a lot of questions like, Will I just be in heaven and just be sad that Shabazz is being burnt and tortured? And I got the very unpleasant answer of, no, God will just make you forget him. As if that was somehow good, and
Here's your consolation prize.
yeah,
You get chill.
yeah, it's no,
God forgets you, and you live in the shadows forever. Yay.
And it would have also been the same. It was the same answer for like if my dad, if my dad went to hell and I was in heaven, the best answer I was getting when I was young was that God makes you forget them because there's no suffering. So, there's no sadness in heaven. So
Was
that was
this
the best
notion
answer
of
they could
hell
come up
very
with.
real to you growing up, or?
Well, not really. Like, I mean, looking back on it, I don't think I ever fully believed. I was too. I mean, I was a Christian, but I don't think I really fully believed because I was asking those questions from the moment it was, laid on me, and you know, I never really had faith. I just went along with it, So I was never really. Well, I could say I was kind of scared of it as a kid, but never nothing major.
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about, though. It's a matter of, was there that time in your life that, on some level, was not that it was a real, not even that it was considered to be a real place, but that there was a real fear of it.
Yeah,
Was the
I would
fear of
say.
it real, or even then was there?
Hello, did you just freeze up, or did I freeze up?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I just got a message from someone.
Oh, well, yes, but see, the thing is, the reason why I said as a kid, I think it was really made for kids. Like I think it was just really made to scare the shit out of kids, and it just sounds like something. But even when I got older, and I still kind of believed in it. Like I mean, like even like 11, 12 years old, it made no sense to me why God would even create that place in the first place, or let alone send people there that He loves. And I kind of stopped believing it real quick, like soon as I matured mentally.
So it wasn't
So
reinforced
I think
that
it's really
badly.
just a way of scaring kids into being good. Nah, not really.
Well, can I ask, did you just go along with believing because it was like your community?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
How strong
No,
was the
because
community influence?
that's a lot. And
How
You said
strong
what was
was
the community influence?
how strong was it really? I mean, that was your community really pushing the hell notion, or was it just kind of an undercurrent?
Well, yeah, the hell. How would I put it? Um, like I'm sure y'all probably agree with this. I think more urban uh places are more religious, and how would I say it? Religion was very heavy. Like it's just unheard of to be an atheist or whatever. Like just unheard of. Like so it wasn't necessarily the hell thing, like I said though. It was more the religion thing. Like I never got like real bad hell talks. I don't know. Like I never really got threatened with hell that much as a young person, but religion was definitely a part of the community. So
that's what I'm saying. It was more about like community glue.
yeah, it was like you was considered a person without morals pretty much if you and they try to paint it as black and white, like you can't have heaven without hell. So um whenever I did talk to people about it, they always pretty much said that how can you believe in heaven without hell? Because that's what I was doing. It's like that's not even possible. You
I
have
actually
to
had a
have good and evil.
I actually had a guy up at a barber shop not too far from here that I went into one day, sitting there talking about how the devil does this and the devil does that and the devil. And I looked at him and I said, "You're talking about the devil like he's a real person." He goes, "Oh, he is. Don't you know?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm getting out of here."
Yeah.
The devil gonna get you.
Oh, it just gets creepy
Gonna
after
get
a
ya.
while. Yeah.
He gonna get you.
That's another thing that doesn't exist in that theology either.
Yeah, Hasatan in the Old Testament was just, anyone or anything that was basically an accuser or
Well,
what
look at
have
the
you.
book of Job. He was actually hanging out with God.
he was a lawyer.
Yeah, he was a lawyer. Exactly. He was God's prosecutor.
I never really read too deep into that, but yeah, what about the people who say that it's not really? Because I remember vividly preachers teaching about like maggots eating at your flesh in the lake of fire and brimstone. So now these new age religious people are saying that hell is not fire, it's not brimstone, it's not torture.
It's separation from God. Now,
Well,
there's
that's
a real threat.
that's Old Testament. It's actually because and when you look in the Old Testament about what hell is, it's just separation from God. Remember that they were a tribal society. In fact, they were
They were a Canaanite tribe.
hunter. Yeah, they were basically next to hunter gatherers. And what's the worst punishment that you could give in a hunter gatherer society?
Starve to death?
Banishment. No, banishment. Being driven out of the tribe. That was tantamount to a death sentence.
Yeah, because at that time, other tribes around would not take you. You were on your own.
Yeah, you're on your own. And guess what? When you're on your own, out of the society, you're not going to survive very long.
Especially in the desert.
Well, I hate that quote unquote desert analogy because the area is not all desert. But
no, it's not. Up in Sumer and Babylon,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
very green and lush. But down in Judea,
I hate the desert dwellers thing.
No, I'm not
Quite
saying that's
frankly-
not where I was going with it. That's not where I was going
No,
with it.
but I'm just saying on myself, I hate they were just a bunch of desert dwellers because they didn't just dwell in deserts.
No,
And by the way, I've dwelt in the desert. What's wrong with dwelling in the desert, by the way?
Nothing at all. But
That's right.
That's not where I was going with it.
I wasn't saying that on you. I was saying in general.
Well,
yeah, I don't like that analogy either because then
Yeah.
you're saying, well, the Greeks and the Romans who had, Greek fire and close to machine guns and steam engines and they were inventing all these things, saying that they were primitive people. That's silly.
I've camped in the high desert and I've hiked the high desert and I've lived in the desert and it's actually beautiful country. Why are you smacking on the desert? That's actually what I'm saying.
And that's,
Why you hating on desert dwellers? Actually, I've been a desert dweller.
okay, Beach.
Yeah.
In any case, let's.
I'm sorry. I consider desert dweller. That when anti-theists use that.
Yeah, but you're getting.
I consider the term desert dweller on the same level as jungle bunny.
I didn't even use that term.
It's nasty.
I didn't use that term.
I'm not saying you. No, I'm not saying you did it. I'm saying in general what I've seen on the internet, and I've seen a lot of people say.
And I'm agreeing with you.
I don't like the term desert dweller. I consider it on the same level as jungle bunny. It's saying the same thing, and it's nasty. And stop using it, everyone. Not anyone in this room or.
Well, in any case, if I may, what were you saying, 40?
I don't even.
You don't remember anymore? Okay.
Let's call it an arid climate, I guess. I was just saying in Judea at that time, the lands were not fertile.
And there is a point that if there's a relatively small amount of land that is fertile, then it makes it harder to survive if you are banished from that region.
Exactly. And that's where I was going with it. I was not making that silly analogy, so. I wash my hands clean.
Yeah, I don't, but I'm not politically correct anyway. I know.
I've noticed.
Yeah, long as I know that I'm not a racist or anything like that. If I use a term, I had a reason behind it or whatever like that. Maybe sometimes the YouTube comments try to draw those fake apologies out there like they do the celebrities, like I am very sorry deeply. I'm very deeply sorry that like come on. Like
So good.
yeah, you got to be confident within yourself. Like long as you know that you know, I use the word bitch a lot basically. That's pretty much what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I've seen that series.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of females that agree. Like I use it for shock value mostly. Like it's not really degrading if people who really understand me, they know. Especially the bitches I chill with. Like the girls that know me in real life, they know how much of a good guy I am. So yeah. And I kinda think I don't know, I want to get back on the subject though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I thought you were talking about hell again.
Yeah, yeah, that is hell. Dealing with those females is kind of a hell.
So,
But
40, I understand you had a bit that you wanted to add, though, pertaining to the theological aspect.
Well, yeah, we can start with Shale, and Beach already touched on it. It really depends on which school of Judaism you come from. Like, there's Jewish mystics who believe in a completely different thing than Yahweh. I mean, it's not the same thing. It's more of a panentheistic belief, and and then there's the strict Yahwists who actually do believe in Yahweh. It's still just separation from that particular God. In the New Testament, there's only three uh, mentions, well, not mentions, but three terms, three Greek terms, and one is Tartarus, which is the Greek underworld, where you go for judgment, basically. I mean, it is a place of suffering, but it's not eternal suffering. It's not like burning and all that kind of thing. Gehenna, which is a metaphor around Jerusalem, they burnt trash, and they would say to like the criminals and the deadbeats and the undesirables, you're gonna burn just like the trash in Gehenna. It wasn't it was a literal place, but it wasn't. It's just a metaphor.
It's a trash heap, basically.
Yes, exactly. And then Hades
where
is
the
other,
garbage was thrown.
Yeah.
yeah, and Hades is the other word used, and we all know that from Greek mythology. I mean, it's a god and a place where you go strictly for judgment, but you can get out. So there is no hell. I mean, that's later.
People even back then knew what hell was because they saw it.
Yeah. Gehenna is basically.
Oh, the stench.
And then there's also hell, the Nordic hell, which is where the sun would set on the North Pole, and it's with one
Actually,
L.
that was the name of their goddess, hell.
Yes, it
with
was.
One L.
Yep. But it was also where the sun would set on the North Pole, and they believed that was the hottest place on the Earth, and people would go there.
Saw it, and can I tell you when I saw it?
Sure.
When I drove past the highway of death in Kuwait, on my way to like my station up near the northern border of Iraq and in Basra. The stench.
Shit.
And I'm telling you, this is what people said, like what people described in the Bible. This is a battle scene.
Well, just imagine taking out your trash, like all the trash, and
Well, when I saw the highway of death, when I arrived in fucking Kuwait, the smell of shit, rot, the vultures flying over everything, and you have never lived until you smelt burning metal and rubber mixed in with all of that. That is hell. Imagine that.
I'm trying. It's probably one of those things you actually have to experience.
I'm even talking about it right now, and the memory of the stench is actually right in my nostrils. And I'm pretty sure the ancient peoples, because they saw scenes just like that, well, without the burning metal smell, that was hell. I saw hell.
You said
If it was anything, I'm not a believer. I'm not a
Or you're speaking of a metaphoric place.
Oh, this isn't metaphorical.
No, I
my
mean it's a
friend.
literal place, but you're using the term as a metaphor. Is what I meant.
Yeah.
And in that sense, I think we all can identify with the concept of hell without it being, the actual noun that they're referring to.
That's what when he was speaking of Gehenna, the garbage pitch,
Mm-hmm.
the garbage dump. That's what I thought of when I was driving past the highway of death.
Okay.
Oh, and watching vultures peck at rotting corpses. Yeah, fun times, good times.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing about Gehenna too, is the people that weren't able to pay for graves, they would just be thrown into the burning trash. That's how they would dispose of corpses.
Yep. And a lot of the time when it's talking about somebody going down to Sheol, technically, it's talking about somebody that's, down on their luck and everything seems to be going against them. It's not necessarily a judgment upon them, other than, simply stating that their life sucks.
It's a little more than that. It means you've been tossed onto the garbage heap.
No,
In
there's
other words,
references in the
there's
Bible.
no hope.
There's references in the Bible to somebody going down to there. It's not talking about them being tossed onto. Well, after they're dead, being tossed on the heap. We're not talking about a live kind of thing. That's a different matter.
Well, I'm talking about it in the Middle Eastern sense. Because you have to go to the Middle East and live in the Middle East.
No, I don't.
Actually, yeah, you do. Because that's normal. Because for the Bedouin tribes going about their business and everybody nobody fucking did anything about the highway of death. Except for, pick up a bit of scrap metal or strip a pair of boots off of a dead soldier and then go on their way. That's normal for the Middle East. You got to understand the Middle East in that context. That's how they live.
Okay, I had a couple more guests that I had planned to have on, including the one that pitched the idea to begin with. As of so far, they're not showing up, so I don't know.
Can you delete that fake me? Do y'all see two me's right here?
It'll
You
go away in a
double
moment.
down, man. You cloned yourself.
It goes away in a moment when it does that. It just hasn't dismissed the old one.
Okay. I thought I was in hell or something.
But
I don't know, 13, do you want me to go away? Am I getting a little too deep here? Or...
Well, it's not even so much a matter that there were a couple people that I was trying to get on tonight, and it turned out that there was an blocking issue between them and my first guest. I've also opened it up to anyone pretty much on my list that wants to come and join at this point, but I'm not sure what the delay is, and seeing as the main point of it was to have the two of them on.
Who were your main two guests, if I may ask?
Bionic Dance and Griffin.
Oh, Griffin?
Yeah.
Griffin was in my Skype chat earlier.
Mm-hmm. But the two of them were supposed to be joining. I don't know what's holding them up. So I may have to stop the broadcast and start another one a little bit later. When they're available. I was hoping to be able to line up interview after interview with this one, but it's not panning out that way.
Are you recording this? Is this
It's on air.
Important?
Well,
Okay.
I was hoping to do a show specifically about people that were traumatized by it, but y'all aren't traumatized. Well, you were, but that goes from going to a real place.
You know what? A lot of us have been traumatized by, real life.
Yeah,
Never mind hell.
Yeah, well, the topic of hell is bullshit. Hell in real life is, just hell in real life.
That's okay. That's not important then, I guess. But
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I wasn't I wasn't tortured by it or whatever you want to call it.
Do you know people that have been though, or have you I want to say have you witnessed, but witness is loaded these days.
Yeah. Well, I could just say I know gay people and when it comes to the Muslims believe that gay people are going to be the first ones thrown in the hellfire or whatever. So I think gay people have it worse when it comes to the hell thing because everybody's always,
well, actually, there's a GLBT Muslim group here in Dallas that are accepted by Muslims and Hindus. By the way, we have a big Muslim and Hindu population here in Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, so y'all not? I was thinking that y'all was in like a totally different time zone because it's like 4:15 a.m. over here, and
Yeah, it's like 3:30. The thing is with Griffin,
Yeah.
she's in New Zealand, so I was trying to schedule
No,
it.
I'm in ye old Midwest, I guess.
yeah,
Dallas,
yeah.
Fort Worth.
Okay, I'm probably going to end up switching this one to unlisted and see if I get some more interviews lined up in the future, because the scheduling's been a bitch trying to put this thing together.
Who are you trying to look for?
Well, I actually had a group total of about 5 or 6 people potentially lined up to do interviews with, and seems like none of them are available at the same time. So that, and I didn't even get
I would
to
think the Aussies and Kiwis would be waking up, so I think you would get.
Yeah, but apparently they're busy, so
They're busy. They don't want to talk about hell.
it happens.
They're too busy raising hell
Okay.
instead of talking about hell or something.
Well,
like that.
I also didn't manage to get to my cult night this week because I've been dealing with computer issues for the last couple of days.
Issues,
So, issues, yes. Um,
issues.
I had a card that blew. Anyway, so I think I'm going to stop the broadcast on this one, and
Oh, you're still gonna post it though, aren't you?
I will be.
Yes.
It's going to be cut up, though. I'm probably going to do some slicing and dicing to throw together what
Oh,
I
you're
need
gonna
into the main
totally
thing.
like edit me out, aren't you?
A good portion, perhaps, most likely. I'm not going to lie to you. But yeah,
Oh, when I was talking about the highway of death and how it was like real hell.
I'd have to evaluate that. At the time, I dropped a cigarette and it
That's
rolled
good
under
stuff.
my computer. But anyway,
That's good stuff, man. Actually, I might have to do a hangout where I talk about that.
that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, there is certainly something to be said for people to go through hell in their regular walking life. In a
That's
manner
what
of
I'm
speaking.
saying. Like, let's talk about the real hell that's right here in our face. Let's not worry about hell in the next
I
life.
don't know, man. I may have gone through my trials and tribulations, but at the same point, I've come through them just fine, and they've made me in part who I am.
Yeah,
So-
I
but
want to hear. I want to hear about them.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I told you about one of mine.
What is this? You show me yours, I show you mine.
Yeah, yeah. Why not?
I gotta get more coffee.
Let's do it.
I'm thankful.
Okay, hang on, Peach. Do me a favor.
Yeah.
I don't want you to ever turn to me and say, "Let's do it again." That's just wrong, man.
Say what?
Only one that misses the joke. Okay.
Yeah.
Seriously. Every time I like bring up that story, I remember the stench. It actually comes up into my nose,
Oh, yeah.
like
Sure.
into my brain memory. Yeah.
That's something that you're not going to forget, obviously.
No.
So-
Never.
Yeah.
That was hell.
Well, I mean, it's people going through things right now. Like I go through a lot too, but I look at the people that's going through things like this girl has
No, dude, I saw death and destruction, and it stank.
yeah, or even those people over in like fighting those wars and stuff. Like they wake up every.
Actually, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. I didn't really hear. I heard the end when you was talking about the burning, like the smells and stuff. But I didn't know because I was texting somebody. I didn't know what. you
No,
were
the stench of fucking burning that's the burning metal
I know,
rubber
but like
and
dying.
rotting flesh.
Oh yeah, I didn't know.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
That's something you'll never forget. And you can't describe it properly.
What about this? It's this guy with the worst case of Alzheimer's disease ever. Where
I'd rather have Alzheimer's. I could forget it.
No, all right, but if this is not like hell, then I don't know what is. Like this guy can only remember 30 seconds of stuff.
Actually, my grandfather had senile dementia by stroke.
He what?
He had senile dementia by stroke. He didn't even remember me when I
Yeah.
came back from
Yeah.
overseas.
But how about
And this is a man I loved.
Mm-hmm.
This is my grandfather. Man, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
You know, like, imagine that. Your grandfather,
Yeah.
you know, a man you, like, grew up and loved, and didn't even remember your name.
Well, yeah, that's kind of why I think, like, how would I put it? I don't think our brains was meant to last forever. I don't think we it's just
I
not.
agree.
Yeah. is sooner or later is going to start shutting down. Like it's
But you
not.
know what? You know, when an elder, a loved one,
Yeah.
and that's fucked up. I'm a liberal Democrat, and people used to make fun of Reagan.
They used to make fun of what?
Ron-
Reagan,
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
They basically announced that he had Alzheimer's a year or two after he got out of the presidency, and then insisted that he hadn't been suffering while he was president, which is bullshit.
hmm
But you know what? That's the worst thing. Because he was a father.
Yeah.
He was a family man. He was a person. And they used to, and I actually told people to shut the fuck up.
Oh, guys, I'm cutting the broadcast at this point, and I'm going to try and pick up the topic again later.